There are few of my viewers who have asked me this, like Imtihas, Shreya. Many people have asked me this. This optional subject. Which optional subject should someone take if they have applying for IAS after dentistry?
So it's very different, I mean, it's very different, and you would find a lot of people with very different backgrounds who have cleared the exam with a lot of optional subjects. So it's it would not be correct on my part if I just say that ye optional acha hai, because that's just not true. Because with me, for example, I chose psychology because I love psychology anyway. I mean, it's even now, like, I'm so invested and interested in the behavioral policy part of administration, and that just, like, it helped me because mera option kabhi mujhe kaam laga hi nahi. It was always like, I'm studying something that is so deeply interesting to me. One way psychology helps dentists is that it is a little more medical than probably all other subjects are. So if you take sociology, if you take anthropology, they are more sociology subjects as compared to the very little medical part. Psychology has quite a bit of medicine in it. So since I was from a medical background, psychology helped. But there is a downside to psychology. uh, Psychology is a humanities subject, so a lot of people who are very technical as doctors do not really know how to approach psychology on a humanities side. And those people, I would really suggest, should take something that is more suited to their uh, aptitude. So for example, geography. Now geography is not a subject that anybody should be taking, because koi bhi aise, very rarely do people graduate in geography. So a lot of MBBS doctors, a lot of BDS doctors that I know have taken geography and have succeeded, because geography is a technical subject. Their bent of mind is a little technical, and they like reading about ki ye factual cheezein, ki ye kaise rehta hai, and there's a lot of not a lot of lateral thinking that they have to do. Psychology is different and difficult that way, because psychology mein what you have to do is you have to read a theory. You have to read, let's say, the social and ecological theory by Bronfenbrenner of 1979, and then think that ये 1979 में आई थी, but how is it relevant today? And you will not find a book that will tell you that. You'll have to kind of just think about being in India, in Belgaum, in KLE, and then say that I apply this whole social and ecological model around myself, and that's how I write my answer. You get the difference. And geography is not like that. Geography is vast and extensive, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So even in geography, you have applied questions, but not in the manner that psychology has. And every time anybody is choosing an optional, my advice would just be that, more than what fetches you marks and what is generally taken up by people, understand what is your strength, what is your weakness, and what can you do without a lot of effort.
Yeah, because there is also Dr. Tamiz is his username. He has asked anthropology as an option for an orthodontist, and there is Trisha also who asked that medical science in optional in UPSC. Do you have any answer or thought to this?
So anything is okay. I mean, again, you are starting anew, because see, the dentistry is not an optional. Okay, let's begin from there. Dentistry is not an optional, so you will start something that is going to be completely new to you. So number one, start with something that does not sound very intimidating. Yaar, ye kya utha liya? Like, something that is something that you connect with on a daily basis. And of course, the practical consideration that you should have is that what can I write in a better manner? So if you feel like you're not really a humanities person, like even anthropology is a lot of humanities, medical science is not a lot of humanities, but then a dentistry student should make that choice that itna vast syllabus where you're not reading gynec and you're not reading orthopedics. Would you want to go ahead and read those books? So for me, like, medical science was very vast, and I said that ye to I'm not doing, because your competition will be MBBS students, no? They're going to write that exam along with you. So the level of optional that they expect for you in the exam is at least graduation level. So you have to realize that your study of medical science has to be at least on parallel with an MBBS student. If you can do it, why not? I mean, yeah. So anything, again, that's what I'm saying, that you start somewhere. And there are, there's so many people. Like, for example, the center where I was writing my exam, there were 230 people who were writing with geography optional. There were, how many people were writing with psychology optional? 3. That's how unpopular psychology is, because it's difficult. It's difficult. It does not fetch marks because it's. And I got the highest marks in my second paper, even after leaving at least 30 marks ka paper. And I don't know how it happened. I'm not saying that I did some amazing A. What I'm saying is that sometimes you also don't know what is your preparation, and it kind of helps when you're writing optional answers to get them checked by at least somebody. So the whole, how I said earlier, the testing part is very important. A lot of people now, what they do in UPSC, they constantly keep preparing, they constantly keep reading, never feeling really prepared. So my answer is that, you will never feel really prepared because UPSC doesn't have a syllabus. It has a syllabus, but then the syllabus is also written in a manner where you can never finish it.
Pinpoint. Yeah.
You will never feel prepared. It's the same with MDS also. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I've written the
Yes.
exam. You never feel prepared. There is no feeling prepared. कि भाई हम पहले prepared feel होंगे, then we will go write the exam. The exam is there, and that helps you in so many ways. I think because this whole thing has happened, that it has given me the courage to now approach problems that I see on the field, the real problems that I come across every day, because I have gone through this whole thing when I was preparing.
Okay. One quick question, because I have a lot of questions to ask. Do you recommend any specific books for preparation? Do you have any list which really helped you?
I have a blog, and I'll share the
Yes.
link with you. So there is after I finished my exam, one of the things that I really thought, and I still think that I'm actually in the process of starting and writing a book also now. I think there's a lot of technical help out there. Which books do you have to read? A lot of information available. Koi agar Google kar lena, you'll find so many toppers who've written down their experiences and their books and all of that. So on my blog, there's a series of 10, 11 articles where I've not only written about books, I've also written about prelims, mains, interviews. Specifically, I've shared the transcript of my interview, but I've also written about, social media, for example. I've also written about, how are you thinking when you are giving the exam? Because I know these were my challenges. I never struggled with lack of information. It was always between my mains and interview, I actually went into depression. I used to have these palpitations every night, knowing fully well that, I was not losing anything if I did not clear exam. I had a very well-paying job. I was going to now take a job which was 1/3 the salary of what I was earning. And it still made me so nervous, so anxious, so nervous. And so those are the things you have to get over. Getting a list of books is the easiest thing that anybody can do. Easiest. So I'll share the link of the blog with you, and people can just go through. There's a full list of books there.
Yes. You said you have made many. You gave three times, but looking back now, do you think you could have done things differently, or do you think that there are some mistakes which you may not have done? Is there any something like that which can be helpful for the students?
No, one thing that I really feel is I should have started earlier. I mean, in one of my mock interviews, there was this interviewer who actually asked me that, he said, you're just the perfect candidate for civil services after I finished my interview. And he said, why haven't you tried earlier? And I said, I have no idea, because I did not know about this whole thing, and I've just gotten to know it, and I'm just, getting into it. I don't know. I feel when people are, BDS, MDS, and they're doing all these things, if you want to get into civil services, and if you have, and this is why, I'm doing this interview today, because I want people to know that there is this option now. And if one or the other person comes across this, it would change at least somebody's mind. Do it after your BDS, because I feel like there's no point of, doing another master's. And of course, this is not to say that, master's doesn't teach you or prepare you well for what you're doing. Every experience matters. But I do feel that, if I would have spent a few more years preparing for this a little earlier, I would have come earlier. Apart from that, in terms of preparation, of course, again, I mean, I feel like in my second attempt, there was always this thing where I was getting ready and never writing tests. So there was that thing, because, एक और mistake that a lot of people do is they prepare for mains too much and don't study for prelims. So there's always this that, we have to prepare for mains, and prelims mein fail ho jate hain. So see, the bottom line is you don't get to write mains if you don't clear prelims. So you have to understand that prelims is the most competitive exam. and you, that is the first exam that you have to clear. So jo timetable aap bana rahe hain, like the times at which you're doing things, so probably around November, December, Jan, you can finish subjects which are related to mains, and then jump into prelims ka preparation. Find convergence in topics ki prelims or mains or interview mein sab jagah kya पूछते हैं. And it's the same thing, right? You have policy, you have geography, you have economics, everything is actually revolving around the same. Yeah. So time management, schedule management, extremely crucial.
Yeah. Now, of course, I have rarely come across the dentist or postgraduates. There definitely there are a big number of it. But as you are a dentist and now you are into this IAS, as a dentist, what difference do you think you can bring out in the society, especially in the dental health? Do you think you can change something? Because we know that the awareness or the facilities which are available for the who are earning less, who are in village, the smaller places. As a dentist, what difference they can get there once they come into the IAS?
Yeah, so it's not only about dentistry, it's also because I think as dentists our training is also in the larger medical sphere, because we deal with a lot of systemic infection ke patients. And as a specialist, though, I definitely think that I understood so much link between medicine and dentistry also. And as a specialist, I think that's something that really helps me even in COVID management now, because BDS may probably, I think my scale of work as a doctor was not as clinical as it was in MDS. And I mean, you would agree since you are an MDS yourself. So even in COVID management, this whole just knowing how a hospital works. I mean, if you're an engineer, or if you are not from that background, people generally don't know how a hospital administration works. Medical superintendent kaun rehta hai, are they doctors, is a secretary doctor? And I think I've gotten this unique opportunity to kind of be the bridge between what is happening on the field and then what is happening on the administration, as both a doctor and an administrator. So we have a dental wing in our subdivisional hospital here, and I know, for example, that there are so many dental places that are vacant. We don't have a dentist. We have the whole setup here, but we don't have anybody who can actually run it. So because everybody is in a sheher, so nobody is in rural places and nobody is actually here. And that's, of course, it can be because we don't have a lot of infrastructure. It can be due to multiple reasons, and hopefully we want to kind of bring it here. But when an administrator, a dentist is planning policies in their areas in terms of health, they know how to integrate health infrastructure, dental infrastructure, and then say that, this is a holistic plan. This is a holistic way of how I look at health. And whatever you think as a leader percolates niche. That is just a given. If you are the SDM in an area and you have this vision that, mere ko medical or dental or let's say physiotherapy ka holistic plan bana ke, I have to make sure that, this is my priority, this needs to get done. It gets done generally because you have that priority and you have that vision. Now, for example, in the last year or so that I've been posted here, a significant part of my work has been in nutrition, in maternal and child health, because we have a lot of malnutrition here. And so much of what I have read as child psychology in orthodontics, so much of what I have understood about infections and about even braces, I mean, the whole physics of learning how things used to work is helpful in so many ways. It just comes back to you at points where you are, you are a little lost, and then it just helps that, अच्छा PG में ये पढ़ा था, ये ऐसे करते थे, ये वैसे करते थे, बहुत छोटी-छोटी चीजें हैं, पता है. So no matter, it's not about orthodontics. I mean, civil engineers use their degree in multiple different ways. I have friends who are MD medicine and who are serving in COVID as a doctor and as an administrator at this point of time. And this whole thing where I am able to now connect with my medical officers daily about vaccination, about what drugs are we giving the patient. It's easy for me to read research papers, right? I can read a steroid research paper and say that, hyperglycemia kya hota hai, mucormycosis kya hota hai. Those are not things that other administrators who are not from that field would understand. So I think administration really needs a diverse strata of people who just come in and then, bring something to the table along with themselves, so that we have somebody who is ready to, take that chance wherever we have a situation like that.
Yeah. There is one important question which I want to ask as a citizen of India. That when we are on the other side of the government, we think that there's so much criticism. This has not happened properly. So many issues have come. Maybe
Yeah.
you had a different version of government looking at the things when you are on this side, and now you are on the other side. Do you think the way we criticize, maybe what is the image of the government now? Do you think is it all possible, or you have difficulty that side too?
Yeah. So I feel like you're absolutely right. I mean, when I was on the other side, even when I was in Gadchiroli, it always used to be like, somebody is doing something wrong, and that somebody is always the government. Because why? Because I mean, we are like, inko tax de rahe hain. I mean, they're not spending our money properly, and ye kahan ja raha hai? And I feel like it is the government's responsibility to kind of course, keep things transparent and then tell people what is happening with their money. But the problem is that sometimes we tend to become very hero driven systems, and we say that ye kaam to ye karenge because inka kaam hai. Now something like COVID, for example, cannot be managed until we have community involvement. 100 police people cannot manage 2 lakhs population and monitor के यार कौन घर से बाहर निकल रहा है, कौन घर से बाहर नहीं निकल रहा, किसने मास्क डाला है, किसने मास्क नहीं डाला. Not possible. It is humanly not possible to handle something of this scale without community involvement, and saying that this and there are issues, I understand, and it's largely because nowadays a lot of times when I talk with people, it's like there's a lot of opinions without actual information on how things are actually functioning. So I'm okay with people criticizing. I'm okay with people praising. I'm okay with people outrightly criticizing also. But I do it all the time. I mean, I am still quite a rebel when I speak about a lot of things. But I think it's important as citizens for us to first understand what is the system exactly, and why hasn't the system been set. I mean, every time a question, for example, there were those APMC laws, just to give you an example. Every person I used to call had a view about whether APMC laws should be implemented, should not be implemented, but very few of them actually knew what was in those laws. Very rarely. I have actually had these discussions where people are like, "Ye to absolutely galat hai, Punjab people are right and these people are wrong." And I said, "Look, I don't have an opinion, but I have a question." So one of the things that I always tell young people, one of the things that I always tell everybody is that, ask more questions instead of just throwing judgments and saying that, yes or yes or. Once you ask a question, once you've understood, made sense of things in your head, and then you're like, nahi, ye galat ho raha hai, then you are right. If that is what it makes you feel, if it makes you feel overwhelmed, if it makes you feel angry, if it makes you feel a certain way, you are right. Because now you've made that effort to actually, don't believe something just because Facebook pe photo dekha hai. Make some effort on understanding ke yaar actually cheezein kya rehti hain, and should we just like hear out a wildly radically different opinion, even if you're going to like disagree with that opinion, I don't mind, but consider that opinion. And this has, I had this UPSC interview once where I was asked about Naxalism. And I used to be a very leftist person. I always used to be like, people are right, and aisa hota hai. And in many ways I still feel the same way. But in that interview, the guy who was taking my interview kind of said that, why don't you read more on Naxalism and then see a lot of other things and then come back. I went home and I saw a lot of interviews, and I was a little shaken by that interview because wo itna acha hua nahi. And then they were like that you're very fixed in your opinions and that's not a very good thing. And I was like, no, this is wrong. I was very angry. Sham ko I still sat and I was like, chalo dekhte hain. I don't know whether it changed my opinion or not, but now I know that my opinion is not a fixed space. It's like a range of yay, where I understand an issue and I say that there are multiple possibilities depending on multiple factors, and that's how I think somebody understands things maturely, where you can have a discussion about it, say that these are the factors that kind of, this is the history of something, this is how something evolved, this is why something is the way it is, and now what do I do as a citizen? Do I sit here and constantly judge or criticize something, or do I get up and there are people who've done the smallest of things. Yahan pe in Dharni, there are teachers. There's an association of teachers, and schools have been closed from the past 2 years, as you know. A group of teachers, 10 to 15 teachers, have been coming to our hospital every day just to give fruits to the patients. That is all they're doing. Like, they just cut fruits apne ghar pe and they come and give fruits to the patient. But these people are not sitting at home constantly looking at TV and saying that SDM madam aise kar rahi hain, ye aise kar rahi hain. They're like, theek hai, this is what we can do, this is what we will do. And it has helped us so much. We've not had to use counselors in our hospital until now, because every time I go to the COVID ward, uska mahol itna acha rehta hai na, because these teachers are just talking to patients and they're like, kaka dhyan rakho, kaka aap kaise hain. Such a big thing, such a small thing, but such a big thing. So, I feel like people should think more about what can they do, no matter how small it is. All of us are, doing small contributions. And that's what, ultimately makes things go. We should be more system driven than person driven.
Yeah. Now I have last two questions for you. One is that now because we have so much experience, given a chance, do you want to change something in dentistry, just dentistry?
That's a very difficult question. I want to change so much,
Okay.
So, in medical science and in dental science, what I feel generally is that one place where we faltered in general is that we've become really elite. In the way we write our papers, in the way we speak about dentistry, it's just become, people have started viewing dentistry as a privileged person's science. It's no longer something which has the people's movement behind it. That ye karna hai, because how easy and simple is it to say कि यार आप दिन में 2 बार brush करते हैं, right? So it's the most natural thing that kind of comes to you, because आप अपनी health के लिए, no matter what you're doing, brush तो सब लोग हर रोज करते हैं, एक बार तो करते होंगे, 2 बार नहीं. And the messages that we kind of, the preventive medicine part of dentistry never became a people's movement. It's just, it's all in English. It's all the academic papers that we do are in this high class language. I don't think there are books written which people can easily access and are written in a fun manner that a lay person can read. So people talk about a lot of science and a lot of, but when you think about changing the dental science and changing, we know as dentists that, how much of oral infections lead to heart disease, for example. How much of this statistic has been told to people in a very, people friendly way. So, in economics, there is this book called Jhola Wala Economics. There's John Drayes who's written this book, and he speaks about how elite research generally is, not only in India, globally. And he speaks about, the way we write our academic papers, it's written for this 2% of population. Only they should read it. So, जो बाकी लोग पढ़ रहे हैं, people who are really interested in, reading all these things, where are the movies that we make? Where are the books that we write for lay people? There's a lot of, I've realized that there's a lot of hierarchy when it comes into administration of a lot of dental colleges, for example, a lot of dental administration. And I have been a part of that hierarchy. Sometimes it has helped me, sometimes it has not. And, those kind of things never help anybody. It always helps to have a flatter structure in organization. It always helps to reach out to people in the way and manner you can. I mean, I used to work in SRM and I worked in a government institution also. So different in the way a private organization functions and reaches out to people. And then I worked in PIMS also. PIMS was a mission hospital which was private, but had amazing outreach activities. They used to send their students for a month to places like Assam, like really remote locations, and expose their students to, what is the field? How do you actually work on the field? And I think all of the private institutions in dentistry kind of need to open up to something like that, build a larger narrative, build more contacts on the field, so that, when we as administrators, when we look at dentists, when we look at the whole area of dental science, we should feel a little connected with what is happening. What is the message that you're giving? And it's not that difficult. It's really easy. I mean, if every private institution just says that, we have a target of kind of just reaching out to, let's say, 5 villages, with the nearest 5 villages, where, we start something of a campaign, a sort of campaign. And YouTube, social media, such powerful channels nowadays. You only need some creativity. So, I mean, a lot of things, there are things that are amazing with dentistry, but there are a lot of things that can use some change.
Okay. My last request is, what would be a last message you want to give to these viewers who are thinking of preparing for IAS?
I've really gone through this stage of giving messages. I don't know, I just feel that if you're a dentist and you are kind of thinking of preparing for UPSC, so the first thing that I tell people is that, don't expect people around you to understand what is your sense of purpose. And it's all right if people around you give you that sense that, I get emails from so many women who have children, women who are just married, men who are just married and who are just doing their jobs, men who have children, and they write to me and they say that, we want to do this, but we don't know where to start. That's, you won't believe, but that's one of the most common emails that I get. And it's just, starting is the most difficult thing to do. And I can tell you that from my experience, because I still remember I used to carry a newspaper to SRM, and I used to carry the same newspaper back from SRM because it used to take me 8.5 hours when I started to read a single newspaper. And that's where I started. So when you start, you can't be overwhelmed every day with a new thing that you're doing. It's going to be new at some point of time. And my husband says this really interesting thing. When I started learning music, I was so bad, like when I started, and he used to say, Mitali, you have to remember that when you start something, tum gade ho. Like, you're a donkey. And you have to remember that I am a donkey. And you have to tell that to yourself every day so that you don't get that ego. Ki, yaar, mujhe sab aata hai. And that's how you approach every new thing you learn in life. You start and you say, कि आज मैं गधा हूँ, आज मैं गधी हूँ, and this is my starting point. Now, this is the point where I continuously improve. I continuously become better. And the second and the final thing that I probably want to tell people that, the process is your prize. It's not whether you get in, whether you will become IAS or IPS, because there are so many considerations about which cadre you will go into, what service you will get, so many considerations. But always remember that you have to really enjoy what you're doing every day. The process of the exam is very long, and it should not take a toll to that level where you are like, the process becomes the punishment for you. That, getting up every day, you feel like, ye main kyun kar rahi hu? Like, and there's just so much anxiety and so much. So if you want to do this with your job and have that safety inside your head that, I want to kind of have a small job and still prepare for the exam, do that. If you want to completely go all out and say that, I want to invest full time, you can do that. And, stop listening to other people. Like, listen to what is your own inner voice and what is your intuition of how you have to do things, because other people cannot, including me, other people cannot tell you what is right or wrong with your life. I mean, you have to really sit with yourself, find those answers. It's very difficult, but I promise you this, that after a few years, everything will just make so much more sense. Whether it happens or it doesn't happen, it will just make so much more sense, and you have to believe in that.
It was so inspiring to listen to you and catching up with you after 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah.
And you are as inspiring as you were 10 years
Who do you?
So really, really glad that you came here on Aspire 32 and shared your thoughts, your journey, told us the struggle. And I'm sure those who are watching this podcast will really feel motivated and will be able to decide about this decision, this important step of their life. And as you said, the purpose is the most important thing for this decision. Thank you so much, Dr. Mithali, for.
I'll share the link of my blog so
Sure.
that that can.
Yes, I already have the link. I have gone through it. I will add it, and people can visit.
Any more
Check out
doubts
the
people have can probably just be put either in comment section, or my email ID is also written there.
Yes.
And
I
can
will put the link in the description. I think that would be really helpful. Thank you so much, and I'm sure now you may be having a lot of meetings. So thank you so much for coming on Aspire.
Thank you for calling me, Sujesh. Take care.